Hello everyone, and thank you for joining our PointCentral Administration website series. First, we'll get started with our housekeeping and legal disclaimer. I'll leave this up for a minute and let you read through it. Next, if you have any questions related to this webinar, you can use the chat feature in the GoToWebinar, and one of the consultants we have on the call with us will answer you. Any other questions can be answered with our dedicated customer service at calixdcs@calixsoftware.com. We have also provided a PDF you can download that has detailed information on our topic today. I'll be your presenter today. My name is Derek Young. I'm a professional consultant and trainer at Calix. Today we'll be covering how to navigate the home screen on your PointCentral Administration Admin website, adding users to your PointCentral Admin website, creating user groups for the different job roles for your users via the PointCentral Admin website, and how to unlock your users if they happen to lock themselves out of the Point software. Alright, so we're now currently logged into the PointCentral Administration Admin website, and we're looking at the home screen. As a PointCentral administrator, you have access to a set of tools that will help you manage your users, user groups, and access rights quickly and efficiently with enhanced security. You can also easily manage data folders, template sets, and Cardex databases, and the access rights to those items as well. On the far left, you'll see a tan box with arrows that expand the different sections that give you the submenus to each tab. This list on the left is also the list that is shown down below on the home screen. The submenus here are already expanded to give you an idea of what each section does. Now, if we scroll back up to the top of the screen, in the middle, you'll see a horizontal box that has our Point user licenses. This will allow you to see how many licenses are active, meaning how many of your users have installed Point on their device, how many licenses that you have paid for in total, and then how many licenses that you have remaining. This will be the same thing for the mobile Point users on the right. Now, if we scroll down to the very bottom of the home screen, it will show you which version of PointCentral that you are currently running on your server. This will give you the information that we need if we need to do an update to your server, or if you need to verify which version of PointCentral that you're currently on. Alright, now moving back up to the very top of our PointCentral admin website home screen, we're going to start with the Users tab. And we're going to start by adding a brand new user to our PointCentral admin website. So to do that, we will select the Users option in the navigation panel, and then select the option for Add User. Now, one of the first things to note when adding a user to your PointCentral admin website, if that user happens to be a lone originator, it is imperative that their name matches the exact name that is printed on their MLS ID, and that it's also spelled the same way inside of Point in the drop-down list for the originator. This will become very important if you select the option that this LO can only see their loan files only. Both the name inside of PointCentral and the name inside of the Point software under the originator drop-down list must match, and they must match the name that is printed on their MLS ID. Now, right below that, for the user ID, we recommend using their email address, or you can use another format such as first and last name, first initial last name, so forth and so on. Now, beneath that, this is where you're going to set up the initial password for your new users. The user will be able to log into Point and modify and change their password, so that way they don't have to tell you what their secret password is here. This allows you to create a generic password, for example, password 1, and this password would be the password you would give to all of your new users. Once that user logs into Point, they have the ability to change their password by clicking on the File option in the menu bar and selecting the option for Change Password. They'll enter in their initial password, and then they'll be able to modify their password to their secret password that no one else knows. Now, moving down to the access rights checkboxes, you will need to give access to Point if they're going to be able to log in. This will be the same thing for the Point Mobile if they signed up for that as well. The email field below that, this is just for record keeping. It is not a necessary or required field to be entered in this area. Now, after you've completed that, what you'll do is click on Add User. All right, so now to the next screen. At the very top, you'll see that we put a message here letting you know that this user has been added to your PointCentral admin website. Now, let's say that you forgot to make the selection for Point Access or Point Mobile Access on the previous screen. You still have the ability to do that here. So if you did forget to give Point Access on the previous screen, you can make that selection on this screen as well. Now, what you will notice is that there are two additional sections here. We have a secret question section and a secret answer section. This is not a required section and will not ask the user for their secret answer. This is just for the admin. If you would like to have another level of security, you could ask them a secret question and they would need to give you their secret answer before you provided them with the new password. Scrolling down, any changes that you make to this section, you do want to be sure that you click update. So if you do add a secret question or a secret answer or any internal notes that only you, the admin, would see, you do want to be sure to click update. Now, down in this very bottom section, this is where you would come and reset this particular user's password if they were to forget their password for Point. So you would come here and you would reset their password and click update, and that would then become their new password. Now I'm going to scroll back up and we're going to go back to our navigation panel and we're going to go back to our users tab, but this time we're going to select the option for list users. All right, so now we're on the list user screen. This will show you all of the users that you have inside of the system. It displays the user ID, the full name, the ability to edit, view the effective access rights, view the user's activity, delete the user out of the system, and also from the screen, you can grant access to Point or to Point Mobile. Now let's take a look at the edit option under the user we just added, which is Derek Young. If we click edit, this is going to bring us back to the same screen that we were just previously looking at. So if you needed to modify the username, you could change this if you wanted to change it to the email address. Again, if you wanted to change the access rights that they had to Point or either Point Mobile, you could do that here. You can change their security question. And of course, this is where you'll be coming to reset the user's password if they were to have forgotten their password for Point. Now, let's go back to our users option in the menu bar. Let's go back to the list users option. And let's say that we wanted to view the activity for this particular user. We can come over to our activity section and click view for that user. And this is going to show you and give you a breakdown of login time, logout time, as far as when they were logging in and out of the system, the data folder, template set or file name, and the action taken on that data folder, template set or file name. It will also give you the action date and time when these actions took place. Also, if you want to export this out into an Excel spreadsheet and keep this as a printed report, you do have the ability to do that here. So let's go back again one more time to our users option and to our list users option. And this time, let's say we wanted to view the effective access rights for a particular user. So if we can go to view here, this screen will show you everything inside of PointCentral that this individual user has access to view. Starting at the top, if they have access to view the PointCentral template set, if they have access to view the PointCentral Cardex database, if we scroll down just a little bit further, if they have access to store things on the server as well as their local computer or their C drive, what data folders they have access to view, and at the very bottom, it will tell you what business rules, if any, have been applied to this particular user. So this screen gives you a quick view of everything that this individual user is able to see and what business rules have been applied to this individual user. So now if we scroll back up to the top and click back on users and select the last option, which would be users, locked out users, you can see at the top of the screen, it's telling me currently there are no locked out users. A lockout would occur if a user tries to log into Point 5 times incorrectly, either by typing in the wrong username or wrong password. The lockout period is going to be by default 15 minutes. So if you get a call as an admin and someone says they have locked themselves out, you would come to this section, which is the user locked out users section. And in this area, you would see their name here, and then you would click the remove checkbox. That will remove the 15-minute hold period that's been placed on them. And at that point, you would probably want to go ahead and change their password. And just as a reminder to do that, we would go back to the users option in the navigation panel and select the option for list users. And you would find the user whose password needs to be reset and click edit. And if we scroll down, again, this is the section that you would reset that user's password. All right. So scrolling back up, we'll go ahead and talk about the last section for today's series, which are user groups. So back in the navigation panel to the left, we'll select the tab for user groups, and then we'll select the option for add user group. So user groups are designed to help streamline you giving access rights to your users. So when you add users to your PointCentral admin website, like we've been doing today, you can add them to a user group, and that user group will already have access set up within those data folders. It's the same thing with Cardex and the template sets that we'll talk about in a later series. So here's where you would name the user group. So I'm going to create a secondary admin user group. Okay. Once you name your user group, the next thing that you want to do is click the button for add user group. Once you click add user group, at the top, the screen will leave you a message letting you know that this user group has been added. You may now add users to the group below. So right below that, you'll see that we still have the user group name, and we have a note section. Just as a reminder, any note section inside of the PointCentral admin website, these are for internal note keeping for the admin's view only. So if you wanted to change the name of your user group later on down the line, you can come back to this screen and update the group name. And if you do make an update to that to save that change, you'll select the update user group. Now to add users to your user group, we'll come down to the below section, and this is when we'll click the button for add other users. It'll bring you to this screen, which will list all of the users that you've added inside of your system. So to add users to the user group, you'll select the check boxes of the users that you want to add on the very far right hand. Once you've made your selections, you then want to click add users to group. Once you click add users to group, it'll leave you a message at the top of the screen letting you know that the following users have been added, and it will list their email addresses. If you wanted to continue adding additional users to this user group, you would simply continue to click check boxes for the users that you want to add, and again you would click add users to group. Now if we go back over to our navigation panel and select the user group tab again, but this time we will select the option for list user groups. So again, this screen will list all of the user groups that you've created, and you can see my secondary admin user group here, and each user group has the edit button next to it. So this is how you're able to add users to your different user groups. So if I wanted to add an LO to my loan originator user group, I would simply come here and click edit. At the bottom here, it's going to show me all of the users that currently have access to this user group. And if I want to add additional users, we'll click on the add other users button at the bottom of the screen again. And this screen is going to show us all of the users who currently do not have access to this user group that we can select and add them to. So if I wanted to add Derek to the LO user group, I could select his name and again click on the add users to group. And if I go back to our user groups option in the navigation panel, and again select the option for list user groups. If I were to go back and click edit on our loan originator user group, we should see that additional user added now, and there is Derek Young added to this user group. And of course, if we wanted to remove any of the users from this user group, we can do that from the screen as well. And one of the important things to remember about user groups is that you only want to add a user to one user group at a time. You do not want to add a user to multiple user groups. If you add a user to, let's say, an admin user group that has access to do everything, and you also add that user to the LO user group that has restrictions on what they can view and see, when they open up Point is always going to go with the user group that has the most restrictions. So Point will choose the LO user group over the admin user group because the loan originator user group has more restrictions. So it's important to only add a user to one user group. All right, so now I'll take a few questions from the chat. And someone asked, where inside of Point do you make sure that the loan originator's name matches what is typed in the PointCentral admin website? All right, so let me go ahead and take you to Point and I'll show you where that name is entered. All right, so back inside of Point, the first thing that you want to do is to navigate up to the menu bar at the top, and we are going to select the option for utilities. Underneath the utilities section, the fourth item down will be your drop-down list option. And from your drop-down list option, you'll see a menu that expands, and then we have sections for your originator, processor, and underwriter. So when you're adding your originator to Point, we'll select originator. And here is where you can add your originator to the drop-down list inside of Point. So when I click on add, this name that's highlighted in the orange field is the one that has the matching name on their MLS ID, as well as the name that is typed in the PointCentral admin website. So for instance, if it's Derek D. Young in the PointCentral admin website, and on the MLS ID, it should be Derek D. Young inside of the originator drop-down list. Okay. All right, let me go ahead and take another question from the chat. Someone asked, can you show us where inside of Point the loan originator can change their password? I can, so let's go back to Point. Okay, so we're back inside of Point, and for your users to be able to change their password from the default password that you set up for them in the PointCentral admin website, they will log into Point with the default password that you provided them, and once they log in, they'll navigate to the file option in the menu bar at the top, and underneath file we'll see a change password option, and if we click on that, it wants you to enter in the current password, which would be the default password that your admin set for you, and then here you're able to create the new password, your secret password that no one else knows. So that's how you would change the password that your admin set for you by default from the PointCentral admin website, and come into Point and modify that password to one that's special to you. All right, so I'll take one more question from the chat. Someone else asked, can you show us what a locked out user would look like inside the PointCentral admin website? Yes, I can. So let's go back to the PointCentral admin website. Thank you all for attending today's webinar. We hope you received helpful information. If we did not get to your question during this webinar, we will reach out shortly with that reply. At the end of the session, you will receive a survey. We would appreciate you completing it so we can improve our training program and follow up with you if you so choose. To further assist you, a recording of this webinar will be emailed to attendees and available on the Calyx website soon. Have a great rest of your day.